Hey, Hunterdon County, it's Pat Heller, your local freeholder candidate. I'm here with the great Joe Agro. You may know him from Hunterdon Underground. You may know him from that guy who walks around with that shoes. What you may not know about Joe Agro is he works tirelessly with a charity that he started, Adopt One Village Hunterdon County. He'll tell you what he does, but every year he goes to West Africa in Ghana and he adopted a village. He brings them potable drinking water. He gives them educational services. He's built the medical services centers. He's done a lot of great things. And I've been on the small business tour, but sometimes we need to step back and say, what are we doing to help others? And Hunterdon County is full of great people like this, and here's one of them now. So please stay with me, Hunterdon County, on this journey. We're gonna learn a lot about Joe Agro. Hey Joe, can you tell everyone in Hunterdon County what Adopt One Village Hunterdon County is about and what you do?
I'd love to. Yes, Adopt One Village Hunterdon was set up about 6 years ago, maybe 7 years ago, when my wife and I moved from West Orange, New Jersey out here after we had successfully adopted a previous village with that group. And we said, well, we live in Hunterdon County, we want to work in Hunterdon County, and there's countless villages that really need help. And so we just threw ourselves into adopting another sister community with our home community. And so we go over there and provide all sorts of services, if you will, to help them become self-sustaining, growing communities when they really can't do that on their own.
So Joe, 7 years ago, you went there and started helping this one village. Take me through a snapshot. If I'm there and took a snapshot on that day, and now I'm fast forwarding 7 years later and I took a snapshot, what's the difference that you and your organization have made to this village in those 7 years?
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually have to tell a story to answer that question. So we went over there 5 years ago after planning for 2 or 3 years with 5 people and walked into a village that I've never seen any type of poverty or need as great as that in my life. Now, I'd been traveling there for already 5 years before to other areas. So we walked into a village that had a school system that only went up to 6th grade. Right? And so imagine the boys and the girls graduating 6th grade and going off into the farms to work or trying to get into business in sixth, just graduating out of 6th grade. So the girls are getting married super young. The guys are then leaving them and going off to the city. You have single mothers. You have no health care. There was no water source whatsoever. They had, an old style pump well where the water was not coming out because the mechanism had broke, and they were drinking out of a stream that had the color water that I wouldn't let my dog drink that water. I would think my dog is going to get sick. So we came in seeing that situation, seeing a broken leadership there because there's so much corruption in West Africa, as most people know, and worked with the village leaders themselves, the principal of the school, because he's sort of a village leader there and everybody respects him, along with local church leaders, just to build this infrastructure of bringing everything up. So we built a school building for them. So they now have school. They can get all the way to college because they can get past 6th grade, all the way to high school, which is paid for by the government at that point, and go to university, as they call it. Their pump well, we fixed 5 or 6 times. It's a 60-year-old mechanism. So we really should be replacing it, but we're putting a new well in the center of the village right now. So as I speak to you, actually the well broke about 3 weeks ago and they're drinking out of that stream again. But we're putting a new well in, so we're not sure if we're going to fix that old well or not, and they actually want to do the fix. We trained them how to do the fix. So as long as we can get the equipment to them and we can get the tools to them and all of that, they'll do it themselves, but I'm 5,200 miles away. And so that has happened. We have a medical center about 4 miles away, which is about 45 minutes drive, which is pretty cool if you're adventurous, but not really cool if you're sick. And so we built this medical center. It's the only concrete 2-story building within about 20 miles. They figure out how to get there for medical care. We've staff it with our volunteers when we go, but the government has actually considered it a hospital and staffs it with personnel. We just don't have the supplies that get there often enough. They go through them amazingly fast, but now they have, you get malaria. They have malaria drugs for the first time in their life. And one of the stories I tell for those of you who are involved in the church world is we went there and walked into a small church that had leadership but didn't even have a Bible. And so we gave them their first Bible ever in this church. We gave a small offering to the church to help with their infrastructure. We were there for over a week. The day we left, the leader of the church organization from the city came in, said, hey, we heard the Americans were here and you took an offering. Just so you know, we're going to have to take that back to headquarters, and don't worry, we'll support you. And it never made it back to that church. So we're sort of a non-traditional group in that we're building a local church outside of the leadership that's there, that's also as corrupt as the government is there, as everything else is. And so, doing education in the school, doing medical care, doing church work, doing health care, there's a lot to be done, but it's all self-sustaining on their end once we walk away, because I cannot leave there and just have everything pause till we come back. So the first trip was a couple of people. We've taken 4 trips total. Every time we go, sort of a new batch of people come. I got some people who've come 2-3 times, and we have relationships with them. I've got my phone here. I get WhatsApp messages from them all the time with statuses, right? And so I'm hearing from the leaders in that community what's needed, what's hurting, what can we do to empower them to move forward.
Joe, if people want to get more information about Adopt One Village Hunterdon, what's the best way of doing that?
Probably the best way to find us is either online at adoptonevillage.org, or our best place to really find information and photos and videos and all that is on Facebook at Adopt One Village Hunterdon. There's 2 Adopt One Villages there. There's the original organization and there's the Hunterdon County group, which of course I'm overseeing. I'd love to answer your questions there. I'd love to be able to point you in the direction of finding the information you're looking for. But Facebook has the lion's share of all that information for you.
Joe, what are some of the challenges that people who haven't run a charity like yours would be surprised or that you would run into?
So I want you to imagine it's pretty easy in this portion of the country to receive physical donations, shoes, shirts, medical supplies, tools, all of that. So we actually have a warehouse for the main organization which serves all the villages that Adopt One Village has adopted, which is a total of 4, which affects 16, if that makes any sense. But that warehouse is full of enough supplies for 4 full containers worth of stuff to go over. And we sort through that, we make sure it's high quality stuff. Our biggest challenge is it costs us about $9,000 from door to village to bring that stuff over. And so one of the opportunities, of course, is people can get involved however they want, especially in Hunterdon County. The biggest need right now is awareness of who we are. If there were 20 people out there talking about us and 200 got involved, raising $9 grand is not that hard, but we've got 20 people involved and we're all doing it right now. And I don't know too many organizations. I don't run into too many aspiring politicians, right? So it's difficult to make all those wheels start turning when you're a new organization, which Hunterdon is when it comes to Adopt One Village. So our biggest challenge is making all of those resources get to where they need to be without stretching the volunteer base and without wasting too much time. I got medical supplies from 3-4 years ago that are sitting in a warehouse. I'd love to get them to the medical center where they don't even have hydrogen peroxide, and it breaks my heart.
We take for granted a bottle of water that we drink every single day. If Joe could get them a water pumping system, these people wouldn't have to drink that discolored water that, as Joe said, wouldn't feed to his dog. And he's trying to do this on his own time. You have a full-time job, right? This is something you do when you're not working.
Yeah, I run a business here in Hunterdon County. We serve all 50 states and 30 nations from my company. So I'm a busy guy. This is where my passion
Joe
is.
has a family, he has a business, and he still finds time to help this village in Africa. And if all things being considered, he'd be there right now. I don't know why he wouldn't want to be next to me, but he would choose Africa over me. No, but all things being equal, Joe is doing a great thing in Hunterdon County. And what I love about him, you all hear about you give $1 to charity and maybe at the end of the day 30 cents goes to where it needs to. I think, and this is what I personally think, if I gave Joe $1, 99.9% of that dollar is going straight to Africa, to the health supplies, the drinking water, the roads, anything he can do. And so if you want to go to his website, if you can donate anything, that'd be awesome. Anything you can do to help, he'd love. Thank you so much, Hunterdon. And this is this is what Hunterdon's all about, connecting great people with a great community. Thanks, Hunterdon County.